My name is Emma. I am 34 years old, and for the longest time, I believed I understood what it meant to be alive. But the truth is far less poetic. I was simply going through the motions, waking up, completing tasks, falling asleep, and repeating the cycle without ever pausing to ask if this was actually the life I wanted. I did not realize how far I had drifted from myself until the evening I decided to do something that, on the surface, seemed completely ordinary. It felt innocent. But sometimes the smallest choices don't just alter your schedule. They rip open the curtains and force you to look at what you have been pretending isn't there. I have been married to David for 9 years. He is the kind of man who always tightens the jar lids so they don't leak, and never forgets to text that he is running late. Reliable, kind, grounded. People feel safe around him, and I did too. Our marriage was structured, predictable, and strangely silent. Not the comfortable silence of two people who no longer need words. The other kind. The kind that slowly fills every corner until you cannot remember what it sounded like. When the space between you was full of conversation. Mornings followed the same script. Workdays bled into one another. Evenings arrived like a guest who overstayed their welcome. There were no fights. No slammed doors. Just a quiet that grew heavier with each passing season. I loved him. At least, I loved the idea of him. But love has a way of fossilizing into routine. And routine has a way of looking exactly like contentment until one day you realize it is not. One Tuesday night, I was lying in bed, aimlessly scrolling through my phone. David was already asleep next to me, his breathing slow and even. An algorithm served me an advertisement for weekly social dance gatherings, open to couples and solo attendees. I almost kept scrolling. I had not danced since my 20s. Back when my body still felt like something I inhabited rather than something it simply carried. But the image lingered. The warm lighting. The wooden floor. The suggestion that somewhere people were moving freely, laughing, sweating, feeling. I mentioned it to David the following morning. I told him I was thinking about trying something new. He looked up from his coffee and smiled. He said he thought it was a great idea. He did not ask where. He did not ask who else would be there. He did not offer to come with me. His encouragement was so immediate, so effortless, that I felt the distance between us crystallize into something I could no longer pretend was not there. That Saturday, I went by myself. The dance space was bathed in low golden light. Bodies moved across the floor in loose synchronization. I stood at the edge, gripping my water bottle, watching my unfamiliar reflection in the mirrored wall. I felt like a woman wearing someone else's skin. Then a man appeared beside me. He carried himself with the unconscious confidence of someone who had never once questioned whether he belonged. He smiled, extended his palm, and said, "You have the posture of a dancer. You just don't know it yet." His name was Marcus. And for the first time and longer than I could accurately measure, I allowed myself to receive a compliment without immediately deflecting it. What started as shared movement, rhythm, breath, gradually became the thing I looked forward to all week. The way his hands settled at my lower back. The way the music seemed to slow down whenever we found our groove. The way he looked at me like I was not just another person in a crowded room. It was never just about dancing. It was about being witnessed. One Saturday bled into every Saturday. Conversations stretched longer in the parking lot. He started texting me between sessions. First about song recommendations, then about nothing at all, then about me. He told me I had a light most people let the world extinguish. He told me it was not too late to stop letting mine fade. I convinced myself this was harmless. I was not doing anything wrong. I was just remembering how it felt to feel. Then came the night everything shifted. The session ended. The other attendees filtered out into the cool night air. The instructor dimmed the lights and gathered his things. Marcus and I remained, standing in the center of the empty floor. The speakers still emitted a low, slow track. He extended his hand again, and I took it. We moved together without speaking. His face was close to mine, closer than before. My pulse accelerated. I thought of David, probably already asleep on the couch at home. The television murmuring to itself. And for one suspended, terrifying moment, I did not want to return to that couch. I wanted to remain in this dim room, in these arms, in this version of myself who was not a wife, not a caretaker of routines, just a woman being held. He leaned closer. I could feel the warmth of his breath on my cheek. He whispered that I did not have to keep settling for a life that had already stopped fitting me. And then I stepped back. My hands were trembling. I could not look at him. Marcus said nothing else. He simply nodded, picked up his jacket, and walked toward the door. I stood alone on that empty floor, listening to my own breathing, feeling the weight of something I had almost done settle into my bones. I drove home in silence. When I walked through the door, David was exactly where I had imagined him. Asleep on the sofa, the television flickering soundlessly. A plate of untouched food sat on the coffee table, covered with foil the way he always covered it when he wanted me to know he had waited. His face was slack, peaceful, trusting. That image carved itself into my chest. I realized in that moment that I had already crossed a line. Not with my body, with my heart, with my longing, with the part of me that had, for weeks, been slowly migrating towards someone else without ever announcing its departure. The next morning, I deleted Marcus's number. I blocked him on every platform. I never returned to that studio. David noticed something had shifted. He asked if I was all right. I told him I felt like I had been sleepwalking and was only now waking up. He pulled me into his chest and said nothing for a long time. Then he said quietly that we would figure it out together. He did not demand explanations. He did not interrogate me. He simply held space. And that unearned grace, offered without knowing how close I had come to breaking us, reshaped something fundamental between us. 3 years have passed since that night. David and I do things differently now. We take weekend trips to places neither of us have ever been. We cook meals together, badly, laughing when we burn the rice. We talk, not about logistics, but about the things we are afraid of, the things we miss, the things we still want. I have learned that emptiness cannot be filled by replacing one person with another. It can only be excavated, examined, slowly rebuilt from the ground up. That night did not fix me. It revealed me. It showed me how easily loyalty erodes when needs go unspoken. How seductive it is to mistake attention for love. How close I came to burning down my own life because I forgot how to tend the fire. Sometimes I still think about that empty dance floor. Not because I miss Marcus. I do not. I barely remember the sound of his voice. But I miss the woman I was in that moment, suspended between two choices. Finally willing to admit that she was not okay. She was not lost. She was just waiting for permission to want more. There is a particular loneliness that follows you after you nearly lose everything. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It just sits beside you in quiet moments, reminding you how thin the line is between staying and leaving. I catch David watching me sometimes, not with suspicion, with something softer, as if he knows the healing is still happening beneath the surface, even when I seem fine. In those moments, I understand that forgiveness is not something you earn by confessing. It is something someone chooses to give when they see your broken places and decide those cracks do not define you. Marcus once told me I did not have to settle for a life that did not make me happy. He was wrong. The answer was never to leave. It was to return, not to the same life I had before, but to the same man, with a new understanding of what I nearly threw away. David and I still argue about stupid things. He leaves his socks everywhere. I forget to reply to his texts. We burn toast. We spill wine. We apologize. We try again. Our love is not cinematic. It is not the kind of love that makes people envious. It is the kind of love that requires maintenance, patience, and the daily decision to stay. I did not understand before that this is the only kind of love worth having. Trying something new did not lead me to another man. It led me back to my own life, but this time with my eyes open. If I could speak to the woman I was before that night, I would tell her this. You are not empty. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are simply standing at a distance from yourself, waiting for a reason to return. Life is not about chasing what glitters from afar. It is about recognizing what has been quietly, patiently, faithfully waiting for you to notice it again. And maybe that is the only transformation that ever really matters.